Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Your Vibes Podcast. Everybody's got a vibe and a story to tell. Here's this one. I hope you enjoy. This episode is brought to you by The Station. The Station is downtown Dixon's premier event venue. Located inside historic Mulberry Mill, The Station is a perfect space for a wedding or reception, birthday party or baby shower, conference or class, photo or video shoot, and even a live music performance. Just a quick 45-minute commute from Nashville, Clarksville, and Columbia, the station provides your guests with a classy and convenient experience in the heart of downtown Dixon's up-and-coming environment. To book your next event, please contact Andy Truman at 336-693-4311 or email her at events@mulberrymilldixon.com. What's up, everybody? I'm here in a new space today, so if it sounds different, that's why. We're at Mulberry Mill in their conference room. My cleaning man comes to the Dixon Insurance office every Wednesday, so we can try this out and see how we do. We may just keep it here. I don't know. It's pretty comfortable, isn't it?
It's nice, yeah.
It's a nice spot.
So I have with me today some of Dixon County's newest restaurateurs, Mr. David and Mrs. Starrlite with Fat Tiger Korean Barbecue. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Well, thank you.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
You're now part of the crew. So I guess we were talking kind of prior, and you kind of know the cadence of the show. So maybe if y'all just kind of want to jump in wherever you feel like jumping in. As far as, obviously, David, I know you're from Dixon. Starrlite, I don't think so. So maybe...
I recruited her from Chicago.
Good job.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so maybe I guess just get into kind of how y'all met, and then maybe the journey from wherever you met to Dixon, and then we can kind of go from there.
Oh, that's a fun story, how we met. So we actually worked for the same company.
Okay.
Back in the day. And I came down to Dixon for a training. I was out of the corporate office in Chicago, and he was out of the distribution center here. I came down here for training, and on like day 3, I was starving, and I was thinking about getting some pizza, and David walked in and said, "Hey, I got these coupons for Pizza Hut." Like, he wasn't even talking to me. But then I looked at him and I was like, "We're going to go get pizza." So yeah. That's actually how we met each other.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. Like, I didn't even know his name.
Unintentional.
Completely.
Absolutely. Yeah, because...
Who are you talking to?
Well, some other guys that were there in the office at the time, because I walked in, my job at that time was to train some drivers on a new process.
Okay.
So I knew that we would get dinner that night, so since I had these coupons and there's several of us there that needed to be fed, it was a great opportunity, and I just walked in and I said, "So who's getting the pizza?" And she says, we will go get the pizza. And I said, "All right."
There would be no questions asked.
No. Yeah.
No, I didn't even know who he was. Like, we were walking to his car, and I was like, "What is your name?"
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't even introduce ourselves.
Straight up.
Straight up.
First love over pizza.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great.
Exactly. So that's how we met, and I came down again a few weeks later, and that's how our relationship just kind of got started. And we were long distance for a while, and for about 2 years, a little over 2 years. And I traveled everywhere for my job. I would be in the States, I'll be in Atlanta, I'll be in Korea, I would be in Costa Rica. Like, I went everywhere for my job. So he got used to talking to me at all times of the day, and but it worked because his schedule was all over the place too, so it wasn't hard to maintain something there. And I could come down here almost every weekend or extended periods of time if I was on PTO or like over holidays and stuff. So it worked out. And then I found a job here in Nashville in early 2019, and I moved down here. So, yeah.
So before the love over pizza, where are you from, Korea?
Yes.
North or south?
Yes. So I'm half Korean. South Korea.
Okay.
That's a funny question, but I'm sure there were going to be other people out there that had the same thought.
So no, I am from Korea. I'm half Korean.
And it's South Korea.
In South Korea, I did not have
You're
to.
here, so that says one thing.
I did not have to defect from North Korea at all. So, my dad's American. He was born and raised in Detroit, and he joined the military. And his first tour was actually in Korea. He loved it, and after he got out of the military, he went back to Korea to teach English in the early 80s. That's when my parents met. My mom was a policewoman in Korea, and they just got together, and they had me in the mid 80s. And when it was time for me to start school, my mom wanted to send me to an American school on base, but my dad was like, nope. As long as we live here, she's going to be raised just like a Korean kid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I went to Korean school, had Korean friends.
Wow.
Like, my English sucked as a kid. So we didn't move around that much, but we were in Korea until about end of the 5th grade. Then we moved to Guam, and then we moved to DC, moved back to Korea, and then a short stint in Beijing on my own, and then came back to Korea and stayed there until mid 2009. Then I moved to Chicago.
Wow.
So
all over the world.
yeah.
What was your favorite along the whole journey?
To visit or to live in?
Both, I guess. Yeah, maybe just one. What's your favorite to live, and what was your favorite to visit?
I don't know. I guess it really depends on what we're talking about, but
let's stick on the food topic.
the
Who's
food
got the best food?
topic. Chicago has amazing food.
Absolutely.
Chicago has amazing food, and London surprisingly has really good food if you go to the right places.
Okay.
But if you go to like traditional British chains or restaurants, it's not very good. It lives up to that British horrible food stereotype.
Absolutely.
But Panama has amazing food. New Zealand is okay. But really good food overall, I would have to say China is really, really good. Yeah. It's amazing.
Well, with that many people, I'm sure somebody come up with a good idea.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Somebody's got to hit it out of the park with that.
It's the law of average.
That's exactly right. Somebody's gonna do something right over there.
Yeah, but partying, you can't beat Korea, honestly.
Oh, really? Club scenes or just
Club
in general?
scenes in general. I mean, you can't do drugs in Korea. It's extremely illegal.
Really?
Like
So
you
people
can't
just
smoke
party
pot.
to party over there.
People just party to party, and
That takes a special kind of person here.
I mean, there are bars that are open 24 hours and bars that offer like half off specials starting at 8 a.m. in the morning.
That's what I'm talking about. A lot of
So people
alcoholics
stay
over
up
there.
all night long
Yeah.
and they start drinking.
Bowling is cheaper at midnight.
Oh, so you've traveled over there with
Yeah,
us.
we went together.
Yeah, we've been to Korea.
Yeah.
Bowling is cheaper at midnight. So
It is.
Speaking from personal experience on that one.
Yes.
It was at like 3 a.m. and we went bowling.
It was
Why
like
not?
all you could bowl for like $10.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I'm talking
They have
about.
a full bar and everything, and yeah, it was fun.
So is that the start of the day or the end of the night?
I'm not sure.
Well, that's like a trick question because this is like on day 2 of our trip, and we failed miserably on trying to beat our jet lag because Korea's a 14-hour time difference.
Yeah.
And we got into Korea at like 5 a.m. and we're like, we're gonna stay up all day and knock this jet lag thing out, and we're not gonna have to like
Yeah, we
struggle
figured,
at all.
14-hour flight. You get some sleep, and we did, but it's not sleep like you
No. You're sitting there with like a neck pillow,
Yeah.
just kind of maybe
Yes.
sleeping.
So we made it until like 5 p.m. and then we both passed out, and then we woke up at like 11 p.m. and it was so cute because he was like, I'm so hungry. Is anything gonna be open? And I looked at him and I was like, of course,
Do you know where we
everything's
are?
open.
Yeah, well, we were in Gangnam, but it was, from our
Apartment
that we
Yeah.
were staying in. We were 1 block back from the main street, so you couldn't see any like vendors
Okay.
or restaurants. I think we were looking at a bank, and So, I mean, it's your first time there, you know,
Sure.
and you're in a big city, but everything's quiet. I mean, you go stand out on the terrace and it's like,
Quiet.
yeah. But
Wow.
you go down to the street and there's something open. I mean, we walked like 2 blocks and found the first restaurant. And,
What was it?
yeah, it was a Korean barbecue
Yeah,
restaurant.
we went to go eat pork belly, and
Yeah.
we ate there, and we went bowling. And I think that night, after bowling at like 5 in the morning, we went to go get food and more
Yeah.
things to drink, and then came back to our room. And I was like, well, that's your first Korean experience. Right there.
So y'all just sleep through the rest of the day and.
Oh
maybe
no! I
shake
mean, it
off?
was well, it was your typical vacation. You know, you go to relax and have a good time, but it was seriously it was nonstop.
Packed, yeah.
You know, because we saw family, we saw friends. Everyone wants to do something with you, because I mean, it's how often do you get to travel across the world?
Sure.
You know, so,
Absolutely. So was this their first time for you and their family to meet?
it was-
Yeah, it was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Your family like to party too?
Oh yeah. They all do. They all do. In
Soju is a
various
thing,
levels.
man.
Okay, I like it.
So we had all had a good time, and he got to meet some of my oldest friends. You know, these girls I've known since I was 5 and 7. Like, we've all been friends for like 30 years now.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah. So, and their husbands, and like we spent like 3 days with them, and we just ate a lot.
Yeah. That's the
drank
best thing
a
to
lot.
do on vacation.
Yeah.
Eat.
Just keep eating.
I don't see where
Body
they,
and
I really
drink.
don't see where they put it, man.
so smart.
Literally. I mean, we would eat all day long. It's
So I love it when David tells his story, because it's, for us, it's something totally normal. Like, I don't think it's anything out of the norm, but he's like, you guys are eating again? Like, he's like, what?
yeah. So this one particular day, we met up, and we were in Chinchon.
Chinchon.
And we were going to a market, which was a couple of hours away. Now, to put this in a picture for you, imagine being in Knoxville and driving to the mountains, all right? Driving out into Gatlinburg, okay? So that's your scenery.
Okay.
Mountains, the
Beautiful.
trees, it's beautiful, okay? But we start that morning off about 7 or 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it was like 8 a.m. when they came
And-
to pick us up.
We all load into this van and we're traveling. We get maybe 15, 20 minutes down the road and we come to a rest area. Now, I say a rest area, it is like one that you'd see on the side of the interstate. It's your typical thing. But in these rest areas, you have restaurants, all right, markets, all kinds of little things.
Yeah, Korean rest areas are
Completely different.
epic.
All right,
Full
they're not
experiences,
just your
yeah.
vending machine and bathroom.
Yeah.
So anyway, first thing in the morning, we go in and we order food, and we had pork cutlets. All right,
Cheese stuffed pork.
that's
Is that a good thing? They sound delicious.
oh,
They
it
are.
They
was
sound
at
delicious.
8:30 in the morning. Yeah.
Now, on our way to the rest area, we already had food in the car. Like, my
Yeah.
friends were like, here, have a sandwich.
Yeah, they make little snacks for you.
Road trip.
So,
Yeah.
like, it
Yeah.
was like meal 1.1, and then 1.2 happened at the rest area.
Mm.
And then 1.3 is the outdoor street food part of the rest area. And like, they were like, what do you want? We'll get everything that you want. So we bought like an armful of more food to eat on our way.
On our 2-hour ride to the market. Okay. So imagine a nice country drive, all right? And we finally end up in this market. And the first thing that we do is look for a restaurant to go eat at. Of course. Okay. So imagine like a huge flea market, okay?
Okay.
Vendors everywhere. And these vendors come from the mountains and from the ocean, and it's all of their harvest, that they've accrued for the week. And they bring it there to sell it, just on the weekends. So
it's as fresh as it can.
oh yeah.
Imagine,
Yeah.
I mean, anything you can imagine, from honey to squid to flowers to vegetables.
Everything.
I mean,
Cool.
oh yeah. The world's greatest farmers market.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
So we get there, and of course, I'm the only one who can't speak Korean, and it's my job to pick this restaurant.
It's like an alleyway of all these restaurants on both sides. And we were like, David, pick a restaurant.
Yeah. So I look down this way, and there's probably a dozen. I look to my left, and There's probably a dozen more down that way, and it all looks like the same kind of food. So what do you pick? You know, so I just kind of found one that had a lot of people in it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, that's a good start.
That must have been a good place to go. So, and everyone was like, good choice, good choice. All right.
Win for David for the win.
You get a
Yep.
star.
Yeah, so I won that battle. But there, we eat, we buy more food, more snacks for the ride back, okay? I'm not
No,
lying.
after we ate, there's also eating at the market while we're walking around.
Because they have fresh food. They'll grill it right there in front of you, right there at the market. We had, he had to be an American, but he was making taffy.
Pumpkin taffy.
Oh, wow.
You know, homemade taffy on a grill, you know, right there.
Whoa. There's just everything you can get your hands around.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, this market happens every 5 days.
Okay.
So like every 5th day on the calendar, this market's open.
And you just free for all. Like,
You
Yes.
can
go
go.
in and grab what you want.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
That is so
Mhm.
awesome.
So after we, snacked on more things at the market and bought more things to take with us in the car, and we snack more in the car, and then we go to dinner.
Yeah, right. So we go to dinner and we're at a table probably about the size of this. You know, it's probably about 6 or 7 foot long. And the 6 of us are sitting there, and there's these 2 big woks, all right? And they load this stuff up with spicy chicken, and they're grilling it, and I'm sitting here looking at the magnitude of these 2 woks and all this food, and I'm thinking to myself, how are we going to eat all of this? Right? Because I haven't seen a to-go box at any restaurant that I've been at so far. Okay, so
It's not really a thing.
it's
in
not.
Korea.
Yeah, it gets eaten. All the food gets eaten. So we're finished. All right, we're stuffed, and there's a little bit left. All right, in each wok. This lady comes out, and she has bowls of rice and seaweed
And kimchi.
and kimchi and cheese, and she mixes all of our leftovers up with this rice and makes a stir fry out of it. And then we finish that. Okay? So by the time we're done, we're walking back out to the car, and her friend,
One of my friends.
she comes walking out, and she is like half doubled over, holding her stomach. And she is saying that she is so full. And I can imagine. And then she just says, you just have to push it down. And she just starts like, just squatting down. She goes, you just push it down. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's the funniest thing in the
in there
world.
somewhere, we'll find it.
Well,
where
we'll
are you
just
pushing it?
pushing it.
Where?
Where's it going? Are we gonna do this in the parking lot?
Yes,
This is in the parking lot.
We did this in the park, and we left and went and got cake and coffee.
Oh boy, what a great way to polish that
Yeah.
up.
No, we're not done.
We're not done.
Okay.
We're not done.
We're
And that
not
was just dinner.
Okay. It's dinner
So
and a
now
nice
we go-
light snack.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I don't know what you call that meal, man. For us, it would be dinner, cake and coffee. That's the end of the night, right? No, we go have some wonderful cake and coffee, and then we find ourselves at a karaoke bar, all right, where we order more food
And more beer.
and more beer.
I couldn't even imagine.
So much rice wine, Fanta,
Yeah.
and soju.
So like at this point,
So
he
wait,
is.
rice wine and Fanta mixed?
And
Yes.
soju is a thing.
What's soju?
Soju is like a Korean vodka. It's not
Okay.
as strong, but
Okay.
people kind of underestimate it because they're like, oh, it's only 40 proof. I can drink so much of this. But
Oh.
it's one of those things that you walk into the bathroom and you're crawling out of the bathroom because it hits you when you stand up.
Wow.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they serve it to you in a little 12-ounce, like beer bottle almost.
Mm-hmm.
And they have 2 different kinds: a green cap and a red cap. The red cap is stronger,
Okay.
so depending on I
Okay.
guess if you're there with friends or not,
Sure.
depending on how
Yeah.
how
So like
inebriated
by
you
the
want to be.
time we got to the karaoke bar, so the karaoke in Korea for the most part aren't like the karaoke bars that you see here, where it's like an open space and people like hear you sing and it's in front of all these people. In Korea, it's actually in rooms like this.
Yeah,
You
it's
and your
private.
friends are in your private room.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can imagine you and all of your friends in a private karaoke room.
Yes.
Drunk as shit.
I can imagine. Just wasted.
And it's so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing.
It is. Oh, my goodness.
So, wait, were you singing American songs?
Oh,
Korean
both.
songs? Or
Yeah,
both.
but
Were you singing Korean songs?
No.
No, this is where I just kind of clap along.
This is great.
Yeah.
But at this time, at the karaoke place, it's like, you know, because he doesn't understand a lot of Korean, so he didn't realize what was actually happening. And then he realized we ordered all this more food, and he literally got mad. He's like, "Are you kidding me? Are you fucking serious?"
Like, there's no way. There's no way. But there was a way. By the time we
just
left,
have to push it down.
it went somewhere, and there was no one that came and checked on us. So
there's no like concierge service that'll come in. And
no,
say,
no.
So in Korea, a lot of like table service is done by like buttons on the table.
Okay.
So, you know, there's like these little button tower dome things. So when you need someone, you press the button and like all the servers, they kind of congregate in one area, and there's like a little board above their area. It lights up to where who's pressing the button. So
they'll come to that room.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's like that in restaurants too. There's a button usually.
Wow, so there's not just like kind of a rotation of
Mm-mm.
No.
what you're doing, you just...
There's no like
That's so
touching
efficient.
tables. It is.
Mhm.
It
Yeah,
is.
we should
Yeah.
do that here.
I know.
Did you do that at your restaurant?
No.
Yeah. Well, we had a concept that I would have liked to have tried that would have given it more a more authentic Korean barbecue restaurant feel. In some restaurants, your booth is more of a little private booth. You know, it may be a table for 4 to 6 people, but
You're
it's
kind of enclosed.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really neat, So I mean,
Yeah.
some you might have a curtain,
Oh,
you'll
cool.
just draw the curtain too. So
Pretty
it would be a
private.
booth like
Yeah.
at a restaurant, but it's more private.
Yeah. Oh.
It's pretty neat.
So
Crazy.
maybe after we make
Yeah.
some money.
Absolutely. Well, and
Yeah.
Dixon, I think that would go over really well too, because my wife and I, we'll go out to eat in Dixon every now and then. But just knowing people, you're like, I just want a night with my
Right.
other, or my
Mhm.
family.
Where you
and
don't
not
run
have to
into people.
socialize. Yeah.
Right.
But if you can just walk in somewhere and like, see you later,
Yeah.
and have something to eat.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We like with our restaurant, we actually have quite a bit of space, like outdoor space.
Cool.
So one thing we talked about was maybe we could do something like that for warmer
Yeah.
weather later.
Cool.
Mm.
Yeah,
Cool.
so because it is really, really nice. It's like you're out and you're eating out, but then again, you're like private. So it really becomes like a nice, enclosure almost.
Mm.
Wow. All right. So you ate pretty much all of Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took him everywhere. Like
Oh,
he's
yeah.
been to like 8 different cities in Korea in like a span of 2 weeks.
So have you only been once? Or
Together,
a couple times?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you just went balls to the wall. at all
Absolutely.
times.
Yeah, we went from the
We went from Seoul.
northwest corner to the southeast corner. So
Yeah, and everything in between, pretty much.
Is it pretty safe? Like everywhere?
It's
you go?
extremely
Absolutely.
safe.
Cool.
It's extremely safe. Like
awesome.
like as a woman, like you don't feel scared to be walking down a street at 3 in the morning by yourself.
So awesome.
Yeah, it's extremely safe.
yeah, she has an uncle that he was a police chief in one of the areas there, and he'd been on the force for 20 years, and he said he'd never had to draw his gun one time.
Really?
Yeah, and
So, yeah.
the police having a gun is a pretty recent thing. They never had guns before. Yeah.
That's incredible.
I mean, like,
Why can't the world be like that all over the place?
Yeah.
crime still does happen,
Sure.
but, there's
Well, as much eating as drinking as people do, I don't think you've got the energy to just cause a crime at that point.
Yeah.
You're like, I can't.
I can't.
I'm just gonna go home.
Food coma for the moment, I'm just gonna
Right,
go home.
right. Yeah, so it's really, really safe. He didn't realize how safe it was in the beginning, but after a few days, he's like, it is really safe here because it's people don't really bother you, and it's just. Of course, there's still crime. There's still burglaries
Sure.
and things like that. But murders are very, very rare. Like, if there's a murder, it's usually on the news.
Okay.
because it's a big deal.
Sure.
It
It's
is, yeah.
It's not something that really happens.
It's not just like in passing at the 6 o'clock news in the morning.
No.
Triple homicide. On
Like
the
Yeah.
little
you know?
ticker on
No.
the bottom.
Sure.
You know, it's
Absolutely not.
yeah,
So awesome.
yeah. It's like I highly recommend it for people to go visit at least once.
How long, if someone were to visit, how long would they need to kind of take the experience in?
I would say 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Is a good amount of time, and I say 2 because of the jet lag.
Absolutely.
The first 3-4 days is going to be miserable.
Mm.
So-
Yeah, and you don't realize, that it's going to take that kind of impact on you. But we left at midnight, and it was nonstop. And so from the time we left midnight here, we arrived there 6 a.m.
2
So-
days later.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whoa,
so
okay,
it can
That'll
mess with
really
you a little
mess
bit.
with you.
Yeah. So you can plan all day long. It's like I'm gonna sleep. I'm gonna do okay. Yeah, no,
This
it's
is how this is just jump right into it, start eating, getting wasted. And
Exactly.
Fall
Yeah.
asleep when you fall asleep.
yeah.
you'll
Just
catch up
chalk
at
your
some
first
point.
day up. Just chalk it up for a loss.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it does help though if you actually fly in and it's nighttime in Korea, and then you eat a lot and get drunk as shit, and then you pass out. By day 2, you're pretty
You're
good.
Okay, so it's easier to schedule your flight times
Yeah.
than it is your jet lag adjustment. when you
Exactly.
get
yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, I guess I'm gonna be talking to my wife about going.
You should.
Right.
You
Yeah,
should.
it's a beautiful place, man. I really didn't expect it to look so familiar to Tennessee. I really didn't.
Wow.
It really blew. my
Weather
mind.
kind of the same.
Yeah.
too?
Absolutely.
What time of year did y'all go?
This time.
Yeah, this time.
Oh, cool.
Yes, but this time.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty much they sit on the same parallel, so a lot of the same vegetables and weather is pretty much identical.
Yeah, that was another reason for us going to experience the food. See how it's done.
So did
Because-
y'all already have this restaurant concept in mind prior, or
No.
Well, not this very one, but I always wanted to own a restaurant. Like I actually wrote my bachelor's thesis on opening a Korean restaurant.
No way.
Yeah, so like when I had to submit a business plan for us to like get this thing going to the bank, I was like, let me look at my Google Drive. I have it.
Yes, yeah.
Copy and paste.
exactly.
Pretty much. So, but it's been a lifelong dream, and for him, it's been a pretty much a lifelong dream
It's,
too.
it's just a passion of mine to cook. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Dixon, but in the mid to late 90s, there was a restaurant here. It was called Western Sizzling.
Oh yeah.
Kind of a steakhouse buffet type restaurant. But I was their first employee that they hired.
Wow.
So I got to help them set up their kitchen, and that's where I first had my experience to grill cook. And just the enjoyment that you get from seeing someone take something that you just made and
Enjoy it.
yeah, just
They
have
enjoy it, their family
they're just
enjoys
blown
it.
away.
Yeah.
It just stuck.
Sure.
And I wasn't really ever artistic at much else, so
Sure.
I was good at that.
Western sizzling, chalk it up, man. There's not too terribly many of those, is there? Are they still? There's. We've got some family in Winchester, and I know there's one up there. I haven't seen any just driving around.
I've never even heard of it, so.
Yeah. That is definitely a different way of cooking a steak.
You on a
But-
flat top?
Yeah, well, it was a flame-kissed steak.
Okay.
It was a flat top, but there were flat top drawers underneath
Oh.
that would catch the flame.
Okay.
That's why they're a flame-kissed steak.
Ah.
So it's like grilling, not grilling.
Sure.
It's a hybrid grilling.
Yeah.
Hybrid grilling.
I guess that's the
Yeah.
way to put it.
Sure,
Yeah.
I think you just made up a new word there.
But yeah, it's like after we got together, we both love food, so that's something that we definitely connected on a lot, and we both cook together all the time, and always jokingly said we should totally have this at our restaurant, like this imaginary restaurant in our head. And then the opportunity kind of presented itself, and we're like, screw it, why the fuck not, let's do it.
Sure.
So
Yeah, it was one of those situations, where you I was looking for a different career. I was tired of doing what I was doing, and I wanted to get back into something that I enjoyed again, you know, and I was stuck there for a little while. I didn't know what that was, you know. I would try to piece together my favorite aspects of, like, you know, management and teaching and, you know, all those things, and try to put them together and come up with something that you want to do, you know, when you grow up. You know?
Yeah, right. Here's what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah.
Right.
Like he was kind of getting in to the point where he was getting a little depressed because, like, you know, truck driving is a hard job.
It's tough, man.
It's a hard job.
Demanding.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, you know,
away from your loved ones
Yeah.
and everything.
And, you know, it's something that you almost felt like you don't have control over what your life is or when you
Sure.
can actually live
Because
your
that
life.
is your life.
It is,
Yeah.
100%. You're in
Yeah.
that truck and you sleep in there and you pull up somewhere and
Yeah.
drop it off and do it all over again.
Absolutely.
How long were you, I mean, what was your distance on that, your radius?
Oh, I was all over the 48 states for
Oh, wow.
my first 7 or 8 years. I did my first 1,000,000 miles over the road.
Wow.
So then I came and drove locally for the next 8 years, I guess.
Okay.
That was close to 1.5 million, 2 million miles.
That's unbelievable.
So, yeah, it's a few miles, man.
Just a couple.
Yeah, just a couple.
So I'm sure you've seen some good and bad parts of the United States.
Oh, man,
as well, too.
He's been everywhere.
Yeah, this place is beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, I've literally been to every state. I've been to every state has a hole in the wall, and I've either driven through it or delivered there or picked something up from there. Or, but literally, I mean, this is a beautiful country from coast to coast, and it's so vast and different.
It is.
You know, the trees are completely different from the East Coast than they are on the West Coast. You know, and each state is different. You know, you wouldn't imagine. You know, just the land that we have is completely different than the land that's in Mississippi or, you know, in Alabama. It's a completely different soil. You know, it's cool to see those things.
It's all that just, well, it's because so many people just get stuck kind of in their bubble, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't take enough time to just kind of really take it. Even the state of Tennessee just alone, I mean, you've got the mountains and you've got the plateaus
Right.
and you've got West Tennessee. I mean, that's quite a bit of change right there in itself. But, you know, even all the way out to California, like, to me, California is probably the most beautiful state because you've got everything. You've got the beach, you've got the mountains, you've got wine country, you know, you've got party town.
You have a desert.
You have a desert. Like, you've got everything. And, you know, people are flooding out of that state like nobody's business right now. But I've been to California multiple times, and it's always been a good time. That in Colorado, I enjoy skiing and snowboarding in Colorado as well.
And Utah's gorgeous.
Yeah, Utah is gorgeous. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I was stationed in El Toro for a little while, and then we moved to San Diego. So yeah, you're right. It is beautiful out there. I enjoyed my time out there.
Yeah.
There's still no place like home.
That's absolutely
You know,
right. Yeah.
And you know, and I guess I have to say I'm biased because I've spent the majority of my time here. You know? But there's just, even with all the beauty, I still like to come here.
Back to Dixon, and you drug her along with you.
I did.
I know.
Yeah.
So when did y'all both kind of just settle here in Dixon? When was that?
2019. Yeah, mid 2019.
Wow. It's pretty soon, pretty recently.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you came to Dixon, were you still driving truck? I guess
I
you were.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did for a little while.
Okay.
And then early 2020 is when, you know, he kind of decided he needed some time. And
in 2019 that was a pretty good year. We went on vacation
Key West.
that December. You know, and you know, we like to scuba dive, so we spent a few weeks down there doing that. And, you know, you just realize I didn't want to go back and do what I'd been doing.
Yeah.
You know, just there had to be something more. You know, and so that's what I started looking for. You know, and thankfully, I was able to do it. You know, and then COVID hit, and then I had an excuse to sit around and think about it.
Yeah, I call it his sabbatical.
I think everybody needs one of those.
It was nice.
I bet.
It was absolutely.
I've had a couple of those. Take a couple weeks, month off, you know.
Oh, he did it for like a year.
That's what I'm talking about. I am jealous on that one. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so, you know, after the shutdown started, you know, I would work from home, and I have a home office, and I would go in the morning. He's still asleep. I'll come out like mid-morning, still asleep. Yeah, like around lunchtime, he's like up and hanging out on the couch. I'm like, how are you? Hard day?
Right. It was.
I slept too long. My back hurts.
You need a new bed, baby.
Exactly. But, you know, it's like everyone kind of needs that reset in a way.
And people don't get it. It really is it hurts me almost, because people just get addicted to just accomplishment and daily goal, checking the boxes and pleasing the man, you know, however that may look, and they don't take time to sit back and just think, and just
am I happy in doing this?
Am I happy? You know, screw everybody else. Like, am I happy? You know, is this how I see myself? Just continuing my life down the road, and you know, it gets to the point where people get stuck almost. You know, they get in this rat race of just bills and taxes and life and work and sleep,
and they're afraid of the change. Or they look forward to it, but you know,
it's too scary.
Yeah,
it's intimidating.
You know, you're afraid of the unknown sometimes.
Yeah. But that's where the magic happens, is in the unknown.
It is, and that's where we are now with this restaurant.
So awesome. Yes. That's so awesome.
There were tons of people. Ooh, don't break things. There, you know, because ever since like my first time coming here in 2017, and we started dating, I told him, I was like, I want to open a Korean restaurant here.
Okay.
And he was like, here? And I was like, yes, here. Look at our choices. You don't have a lot of choices.
Yeah, sorry. And me having experience in the restaurant industry, I know how hard it is. You know, and the more we were together, the more we talked about it, the more we got disgusted with, you know, like our choices around here. And even in Nashville, you know, either you have to pay way too much and it's not that good, or, you know, it's an inconvenience to go anywhere.
All the way to East Nashville.
Yeah, it's a whole evening thing. You can't just pop over there and do it. Yeah.
Right. You know, and like here, people are, you know, afraid to experiment, you know, especially if it costs a lot, you know, so they'll shy away from it. And for us, this is home cooked food. You know, it's we want it to have gourmet flavor. You know, the pizzazz of something like that, because it is all fresh. You know, but it doesn't deserve, you know, that. I don't know.
What are you trying to say?
You know, it doesn't deserve that high-end restaurant, you know, draw.
That high ticket.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be $300 a head for it to be something good.
And to be delicious.
Yeah, because, you know, it's something a lot of my friends around here were also saying, is that you just lack in choices around here.
It's miserable.
You know, and that was just kind of our main demographic when it came to the restaurant, because, you know, even though, I mean, there are obviously people in Dixon that are from Dixon that want more choices, but there's also people like me that's moving here from a bigger city that's used to more choices, and you come here and you're like, what do you mean I can't get insert cuisine here, you know?
Sure.
It's like, because for me, one thing that blew my mind moving here from Chicago, it was like, I love Serbian food, like Kurdish food, like Eastern European food. And I just tried to Google a place in Nashville that had it, and there isn't one. And I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? I have to go to Bowling Green to get it. You know, there's a lot of things like that, and there's just isn't a Korean place anywhere between Nashville and Clarksville for Dixon. And we're like, you know, this is a good market. We have a good concept. You know, let's just go for it. Let's just do it. See what we can get out of it.
Yeah, we liked, you know, cooking for our friends, you know, especially me, you know, sharing something new with people and seeing that enjoyment, you know, that you get from eating good food, and for it to be completely different than what you would normally think of, like a seafood pancake.
I was no, I don't mean to interrupt, but I was stalking y'all's Facebook. And you had a meme on there that was like, if somebody, it was the guy from, it was from Monsters Inc.
Yeah,
it's like somebody asked me about seafood. So you have to tell me about that. What is that?
The seafood pancake is, you know, it doesn't taste like your, you know, breakfast pancake, obviously. Okay. So it's more of a savory pancake, like a German potato pancake.
Okay.
So it's not like sweet.
Okay.
You have your base batter that holds everything together, but it's you know, like carrots, zucchinis, onions, green onions, and then shrimp and like, you know, crab meat. It's all mixed together and then it's fried. Yes. So the outside's like all crispy. And you get like a soy sauce based dipping sauce with it.
Man.
Yeah.
Get out of town.
Yeah. So it's like almost like a quiche, but it's fried. But it's good stuff. And people that try it, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, I hate onions or I hate zucchinis, and they try it and they're like, I'm supposed to hate this, but I love it.
Yeah.
The best part is the kids, the little kids that come in.
Yeah.
Like I talked to a young lady that had a small child with her, and I guess
like
he was about 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was a little apprehensive, you know, about if he would eat anything here. So she was convinced to try the seafood pancake for him. And he's apparently really picky, but he starts eating this thing, and then he won't even share any of it
with his mom.
No, Mom,
this is mom.
Me. I have boundaries. Don't.
Yeah, sure. He's like a prisoner, you know.
Right.
He just got it cradled up.
Yeah, and it's really exciting to see that, because, you know, it's the same things we eat every day, but it's just cooked a little differently. It's seasoned a little differently, and it can completely change your perspective on how you feel about a certain ingredient. Like one of our staff, she was like eating one of the things that we make, and she's like, I'm not supposed to like this, but I love it. And that's just so much fun to see. It just never gets old.
So where's the building? Where's y'all's location at?
It's on 70 in White Bluff, heading towards Kingston Springs.
Is it that old, the old antique place?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's
Cool.
right by the ball fields. We've heard it called, and you know, obviously the antique place, but my favorite's the Wild Wild West building.
She does look like that.
Yeah.
It does look like that. So did y'all have to build out the kitchen and everything in there? Did you buy the building?
We did. Yeah,
Cool.
we bought the building, the property around it.
Cool.
When we got it, it was just concrete floors and
4 walls and a ceiling.
Yeah, pretty much, especially in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kitchen was an addition that the previous owner put in, and there was pretty much nothing done to it. So.
Yeah. So when you come in there, pretty much everything you see, except for like the wood paneling in the dining room, you know.
Okay.
That's about the only thing that we didn't change, you know, because I had to rip out almost the entire concrete floor that was pre-existing. So
Re-pour.
So are you a handy person? Are you a handyman?
I would like to say that I'm more handy than I am. I try.
Okay, you give it your best shot.
Don't criticize me.
No, well, I'm pretty pumped if I can fix the sink from dripping. You know, that's a big win for me right there.
Yeah.
My wife pats me on the back for that one, so I feel good.
Yeah, I'm not going to take credit for all of the work that was done there because I can't. We did have, contractors that came in and did things.
They did a really good job on a lot of things.
Yeah, our plumbers and our electricians were awesome.
Yeah.
But it was a nice experience, going through it. The whole remodel and the fact that we didn't have to rush it.
Yeah.
Was great. Because it seemed like things that we would get stuck on or we couldn't figure out, it would fall into place. Something would happen and
it would make sense.
Yeah, things would make sense or
What is it? Bob Ross calls it happy little mistakes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those are great.
Yeah, like there was we had to pretty much dig out the half of our dining room's concrete. And I say concrete in quotes because we thought it was, your average 3 to 4 inch concrete floors, like a slab. But there were parts of it that was only like a ½ inch thick, maybe.
Oh, wow.
And we found this out trying to grind it. So we actually dug it all up and had to re-pour it. And it sat open like that for about 4 to 5 weeks. And in that time, the weather warmed up, and lo and behold, there was a giant termite colony underneath that. Yeah, so we ended up having to pump like 100 gallons of termite pesticide. And what if we didn't see that? What if we opened?
Yeah. If that hadn't happened, if I hadn't been in the process of trying to level that floor, I would have never ripped the floor out.
Oh, those termites would have eaten it up, dude.
And the fact that it stayed open for a while I worked on the kitchen floor, having that tiled, that gave it just enough time to dry up, warm up, and present a pre-existing problem that we didn't know we had. That may have come out later on during a meal
so they
rush.
weren't already in the,
I know, dinner rush, and
I used to, so my first job out of college was selling pest control, termite and just regular pest control and crawl space encapsulations. And termites were the worst, man. It's good money if you could sell the gig, but like I was in somebody's house doing an inspection one time, and I was up in their bedroom just kind of looking for bugs or any kind of brown recluse or anything. Well, I see this pinhole, what I thought was like a nail hole, but I see something like flopping inside of it. And I was like, oh boy. And I looked and I pulled it out, and it was a termite, and then all of them came out.
Oh.
And it was on their second story. I was like, this is not good, guys. We're going to have to send somebody in here and get this taken care of. But I mean, they'd eaten all the way up the studs from the damn ground all the way up. Yeah, that's not a good deal. But yeah, as soon as the weather hits like 70 degrees or so for a couple days, they just pop out of that bad boy.
Oh, and they were too. And it was on the inside. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like I was just I was at work or something, and then I came back, and him and our tile guy, who's also our friend, were doing tile, and I'm just like sitting there, and I'm looking in the corner, and I see like something moving, and I walked over to it, and it was a giant swarm.
Yeah, it looked like a big solid mass.
Yeah.
Just termites.
And I was like, are those termites? And David's like, no, honey, they're just ants. And I'm like, they're not ants.
Yeah, until I go over and look a little closer, and I'm like, oh my. Because there was no way, we had already had the building treated.
Yeah. The outside of the building.
Yeah. So we thought we were taking precautions for things, and then so like I said, as time goes by and we didn't rush things, things kind of fell into place.
Cosmic timing. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
So there were a lot of things like that, and one of our friends are always like, this is definitely like Indian burial grounds. that's the stuff that happens here. But
so was it on an Indian burial ground?
No.
You don't know. Yeah, you don't know. Yeah.
Not as far as the history that we know of the place.
Yeah.
So why that location?
We were actually looking more here in downtown Dixon. And then the owner of that building reached out to us and said, it's a turnkey property, so come and take a look. And we went, and it wasn't quite turnkey, but we loved the location. With how everything's growing. It's right on Highway 70, eastbound.
Travel road.
Yeah.
It is.
So we're like, this is a good investment regardless. So, let's do it. And
White Bluff is a good spot. I've had my eye on there for a while, and there's a guy in town that owns most of the commercial property in White Bluff that we do some business together. And of course, we were talking about Brian Hill earlier too. He's made a huge investment in White Bluff. I think that given its kind of location, it has real potential to really just grow, because I mean, you're right there. You take a shot down White Bluff Road, you're on 96, or you can go right into Bellevue over there, and it's kind of isolated too. So it's kind of got its own opportunity to be its own thing. It doesn't have to be a Burns or a Charlotte or a Dixon or anything like that. White Bluff has a real good chance of just becoming White Bluff, whatever that may be.
Oh, and it's growing. Just the town hall meetings that we attended. There were conversations of, land that they were talking about developments, being proposed.
Wow.
You know,
Like
so
there's 200 units, like 1,000 units.
yeah,
There's like
so
a lot.
yeah,
of stuff.
it's growing,
Yeah.
and people are seeing that it's nicer to live outside of Davidson County. You know,
So many people are seeing that.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know, and once they get out here, they're like, okay, this is great. And then there's people such as yourselves that provide things to do and places to eat.
Right.
They don't have to go all the way into Bellevue or West Nashville or even all the way into Nashville to have the experience that
Right.
they're looking for.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So explain to me just, I guess as best you can. I'm sure you can do a great job. You kind of may have already done it a little, but kind of the differences between regular barbecue. I'd say regular, but like American barbecue, Korean barbecue, and kind of what goes all in around that.
So
yeah.
Everything about it.
okay, so yeah, I'm gonna tell you like I've told everyone else.
Okay.
The fact that you asked me the difference between barbecue tells me you know nothing about barbecue.
I don't. I don't. I eat it back alley or somewhere else, and that
Yeah.
tastes good. So.
Yeah, well, barbecue is basically grilled or smoked food. You know,
It's a style of cooking.
it's
Right.
yeah, that's just what it is, man. I'm
It's
just
like grilling or baking in the oven,
Right.
or not microwaving, but
yeah.
it's-
We don't even have a microwave in our restaurant.
nice,
All right,
Yeah,
everything
the
that
entire
we
property.
everything that we have is fresh.
cool.
Yeah. So yes, you have to have an open flame to have a barbecue of some sort.
Sure,
All right.
sure.
But for us, that is the only difference is the way we flavor the food.
Yeah.
That's it. You still need to marinate or season a barbecue, and that's what we do.
So is it do you have a smokehouse or?
No.
Okay.
Now all of the food is grilled.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, so like the barbecue, the reason behind why our name is Korean barbecue and more is because we're gonna do like a couple of Korean barbecue dishes where we do grill it,
Okay.
but then we also have other Korean dishes that isn't barbecue. We have other things on the menu that's not barbecue centric. It's more of a stew. It's more of a stir fry. We have those items in there too. Because our building is a very old building. Some parts of it are older, like 100 years or older. And we can't have the Korean barbecue ventilation system that's required for like tabletop cooking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which would be a Korean barbecue restaurant. Which
So all in kind of the privatized booths with the tabletop cooking things.
like the melting pot.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. That is your typical restaurant in Korea.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wow. Okay.
I guess that's why I said it doesn't have to be the fine dining,
Sure.
to have the experience and get the same kind of quality food.
Yeah.
So yeah, what we would consider the fine dining environment in America is kind of the norm.
Yeah, that's
Right.
your diner on the corner.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but we still wanted to. But even in Korea, like they could be a Korean barbecue place, but it may not have the tabletop cooking. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're cooking everything for you and bringing it out to you.
Okay.
And it's a casual place to eat. There isn't anything on our menu that's over $20.
Cool.
But you're getting the same items that you're getting if you go to Nashville and if you go to a tabletop Korean barbecue place.
Wow. So I know you all, how long have you been open?
1 week.
Sweet. And you're still pumping, baby.
That's right.
You're still moving
Yeah,
along.
we're still smiling.
Big win. That's exactly
Yeah,
right. You haven't
yeah.
killed each other yet.
Not yet.
No,
not
yeah,
yet.
we were told the fact that we had made it that far, and we
10
had
months of renovations
yeah
and then opening the restaurant. So
yeah so
we're solid.
renovations and opening a restaurant at the same time. Yeah,
Oh, boy.
yeah, and we still
True test.
I still like him. So.
yeah we still like each other. It's cool.
Yeah, I think you're above average on that one. Yeah, my wife and I work together as well too at the insurance agency. She does personal lines and I do the business lines, the commercial lines aspect of it. Now our jobs are pretty much completely separate. We don't deal with each other, so we still
Yeah.
like each other most of the time too. So So I know y'all aren't too terribly in, but is there kind of maybe like you guys are just joking around the kitchen like, hey, we're gonna have this restaurant. Look, hey, it came true. Is there anything kind of maybe 5-10 years down the road? Do you have any kind of projections as far as where this may go, or is there catering involved, or at some point, or?
Yes and no.
Okay.
As far as like our 5-year plan, we have a lot of ideas. We hadn't really set anything down and said, this is what we're going to focus on, for the next 5 years. We really just wanted this restaurant to be successful, and not in a financial means. I mean, just in the fact that we're able to provide different, good food.
Mm-hmm.
That's
to
really,
the community. Yeah.
Success, can be described in many different ways. I feel like sometimes it gets pigeonholed into money, but I think so long as you've got a satisfied customer and you're providing people with an experience and good service and good food, and that's success to me. I mean, so long as you make somebody else's heart happy, then
exactly. And that's why he won't let me quit my job. I'm like, I want to quit my job. He's like, no, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Let's give it another maybe a couple weeks.
A couple years. But I mean, that's kind of the thing. There are different streams of this business that we want to do, but I don't want to say, okay, this is where I want it to be in 5 years.
Sure.
Because I did that with my previous job, the job where I met David. I was a global operations manager, and I wanted that role so badly.
Yeah.
I wanted it so badly. I went back to school for it. I got a master's degree, and just hauled ass to get to where I was. And then after I got the job, and then it was, okay, what's next then?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
I didn't have another goal. So it's like, that's kind of like a defeating feeling. It's like you work so hard to get there, and once you get there, you're like, oh shit, I don't have my next step.
So I made it, and then bottle rocket
and then
goes
what?
off, and you're like, oh boy.
All right, now what do I do with it?
Yeah. So
Catching the mail truck as a dog almost. Just kinda,
what do I do with
what do I
this?
do with this? Yeah.
So it's kind of like we're more of those c'est la vie people who are like,
absolutely.
we'll see where this goes, and if this spins another opportunity, we'll do that too. And we always want to keep this property, and even if we're not the ones that own it later down the line, we want it to be a restaurant. We want it to be a place where douche chefs can come and do something cool without investing tons of money into it.
Such a good thing to do.
Yeah.
There's so many people that have the passion for food like you all do, and they just don't necessarily have the means to do something with their passion. There's a huge demand right now for kind of a commissary kitchen in Dixon. I'm actually kind of trying to hunt one down for several people, and just because there's so many people that are getting into, like, there's a girl I had, I'm putting her podcast out tomorrow, who does homemade pasta. Louise Linguini. Yeah. Lauren Cowan, she's super cool. But and then I've had several other people ask me, like, I'm trying to get Mulberry to build one out here too, but it's a hard pitch to him. But
it's extremely expensive.
It's extremely expensive. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And, I love your mindset on the whole thing too, because I've started this podcast has kind of developed into, I'm just gonna have to hold it. I've never really set the mics up like this before. I typically have them like just on the edge of the table, but who knows? Just try new things, right?
Yeah.
So the C'est La Vie, I love it, like, because there's so many people that I talk to, and I know they're in the corporate space, and like, so what's next? They're like, well, I'm gonna get promoted to this. I'm like, what's after that? Well, then I don't know.
I'll get promoted to this.
I'll just or I'll have this job, or I'll get paid this amount of money and I'll be good. I'm like, nothing is ever finished in life. Like, everything is always expanding.
Right.
Everything's always changing. Everything is just going with the flow of the river, as I like to look at it. And 5-year plan. So this, like I was saying, this developed into the trivia thing, and I do bingo at Pumphrey's and TJ as well. So it's developed into this whole entertainment company. I've got the LLC, I've got everything in place, the website and the logo is going to be done hopefully this week or first of next. So I'll be ready to launch the whole big kit and caboodle after that. But I do kind of have a little bit in my mind's eye as far as like where I'd like to see it. but I don't like to be too rigid on the whole structure.
Right.
You never know where it's going to go. You
Yeah.
never know who's going to...
Absolutely.
Like this nursing home thing I was telling you about, or senior living, sorry, they don't like, it's not a nursing home.
You'll edit that out, won't you?
Right, I will.
All where the gray foxes live.
Yeah, exactly. It was just a regular at Trivia that moved from Dixon to Franklin and started working there and was like, hey, we need a trivia guy. So like, who would have ever thought that I would be driving 45 minutes to Franklin to do trivia at a senior living facility? And it's one of the biggest in the Southeast. And so now I'm like, hold on a minute. Can I have a niche in senior living facility trivia, right?
Yeah.
And just expand in that space before I really do the whole bar scene thing? That'd be super easy.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, like it would be a lot easier than trying to go bar to bar and deal with a bunch of drug people. So who knows, you know? Just roll with it
Absolutely.
and just be happy the whole time. And you're doing what you love.
Yeah, and you know, even though cooking is my passion, it's what I love to do, I never thought that I would get back into a restaurant business. You know, and then to have this idea, you know, actually presented to us, and me to take all those aspects of, you know, growing up and trying to put that into a concept that fits into something that you love to do every day. And I hadn't really ever thought about getting back into cooking until this happened, and it reinvigorated that spark. And just,
Yeah, it makes me so happy to see him. Because like,
He's smiling. He's been had this shit-eating grin on his face the entire time, you know?
it's wonderful, man.
No, it really is. Like, you know, after our first week last week, because we were only open 3 days a week right now. And after our first 3 days, like, I just looked at him and I was like, I am tired as shit, but I am so happy.
Yeah. You know, and people may get mad at us for only being open 3 days a week, but I hope they realize that it's just 4 people running this restaurant.
Yeah.
5, actually.
Yeah.
You know? So there's only 5 of us.
Wow.
You know?
The entire thing is just
And I'm cooking. So
and I'm cooking.
I don't really have time to come out and meet the people that you know I'm trying to please. You know? So that's sad, but
it'll grow.
yeah, it will. You know, I get to see them a little bit through my window.
Yeah. No, but it's been really, really good because you know, we get to serve food to these people and we get to see some of the reactions, and you know, they're like, oh my god. There was one lady who I guess she lived in Korea and a few decades ago, and she's like, I haven't had bulgogi that good in 30 years. And that's like such a good feeling. There were people that came in, they were like, this is the best kimchi I've ever had, like hands down. And it's just hearing little things like that. It's like, oh, I'm busting my ass in there for a good reason.
So worth it. So what's kind of, I guess, 2 things. What's your favorite thing on the menu, and then kind of what's the most popular order so far that you've had?
My favorite thing on the menu is the slow cooked kimchi and pork. Like that is something I grew up eating almost every day. It may not have had pork in it. It could have tuna in it, or mackerel, or pork, or chicken. It doesn't matter. My grandma would cook it almost every day. And, you know, she practically raised me. So, you know, I grew up eating that almost every day. And, you know, so that's my comfort food. You know, that's my mac and cheese. And so that is one of my favorite things. But the most popular thing is the bulgogi, which is like a soy garlic marinated thinly sliced beef. And we make all the marinades and all the sauces that we use in-house.
Okay.
So, you know, it's not going to be something that comes out of a jar and poured on top of the meat, you know. I mean,
if it's coming out of a jar, it's because I'm mixing it with something else in another jar.
And, you know, that's a good, I call it like a gateway food. Like, I feel like every cuisine has a gateway dish. Like, Thai food is pad Thai. That's a good gateway dish.
Okay.
Like, it's something that 99% of the people are going to like. It doesn't matter what your background is. Kids love it. That's a good one, bulgogi, because it's not spicy. It's beef. Yeah. So, you know, we actually go and buy a part of a fillet of the beef to make this.
Yeah, that's a little secret that
Yeah.
I didn't want to tell. But it's basically, like a filet mignon loin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is legit stuff, it sounds like.
Yeah, that was one thing when we started working on the concept of our menu.
We interrupt this episode with a message from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by The Station. The Station is downtown Dixon's premier event venue. Located inside historic Mulberry Mill, The Station is a perfect space for a wedding or reception, birthday party or baby shower, conference or class, photo or video shoot, and even a live music performance. Just a quick 45-minute commute from Nashville, Clarksville, and Columbia, The Station provides your guests with a classy and convenient experience in the heart of downtown Dixon's up-and-coming environment. To book your next event, please contact Andy Truman at 336-693-4311 or email her at events@mulberrymilldixon.com. Now let's get back to it and enjoy the rest of this episode.
So you're back there cooking food. So it's y'all two back there, and then you've got a couple waitresses.
Well, actually, for right now, I have two guys that help me in the kitchen.
Okay.
One guy, his name is Eugene. He is my right-hand man.
Okay.
Eugene and I have known each other since we were teenagers.
Oh, cool.
So, we started in Western Sizzling back in the day. So,
OG relationship there.
right.
Cool.
Yep. So we've both kind of stuck with culinary, throughout the years, and he took a different path in it than I did. But to come back and to run into him again after so many years of not actually, living here, per se, being a driver, I was all over the place, so, but to run into him again and to have the opportunity to open this restaurant and have him join me, it was great. It was like, two kids, that were best friends getting back together again.
Hey buddy, let's do this.
Yeah. Then we have the second guy, Sean Courtney.
Okay.
He used to own Barley Pops
Okay.
in Kingston Springs.
Okay.
And so he's owned.
Was that over there, like way behind the truck stop?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he owned that. He owned another restaurant in Nashville,
Okay.
past Perfect, I think.
Okay.
That's what it was. He ran that for like over a decade. But
Wow.
we met him through a mutual acquaintance. And he liked our concept, I guess. He liked the idea that what we had, as far as this restaurant was going, and we needed some help. We needed a little bit of help with the progress.
Sure.
With remodeling, things like that. Just the finishing touches.
Mm-hmm.
So he was more than gracious to come help us do those kinds of things.
That's awesome.
For him to want to join us, that was really big too. That was a good honor.
Oh, so you've got a lot of people with some experience behind you.
Absolutely. Yeah. You couldn't do what we did this past weekend without the kind of experience we have in that kitchen.
Wow.
You've seriously got decades of experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the labor market right now sucks. So
It
Yeah,
does.
so really, really lucky.
Not good to have that kind of quality people working there.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we're very thankful and blessed.
Yeah,
amazing.
like the back of the house, the front of the house. I mean, we have Jody and Sarah in the front, and they're both veterans in being front of the house servers and stuff, and they're
Cool.
just amazing.
Do they live in White Bluff?
One does. One lives in Dixon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're all local.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Sean is the only one who doesn't live in the area.
Okay.
So it's to actually have him come and join us. A restaurant owner to come from the east side of Nashville out to White Bluff to help us.
Get our footing and get things going.
And make sure y'all do get good food.
Sure.
Yeah,
Quality
that's great.
food is absolutely key.
Yeah.
Especially in a market like you were saying, like there's just not. there's not too terribly many options.
Mhm.
I eat out for lunch every single day. Now I'm going to start going to White Bluff as well too. I can get out of I go to Pappy's or I go to Salt and Pepper sometime. But yeah, now I travel a little bit further and give me some damn good food.
You should.
But like we're saying is that Dixon's in a really volatile spot right now to where there's several projects that are kind of festering at the moment, especially in the downtown area, to where it's going to be kind of not necessarily dog eat dog isn't the way to think about it, but it's your shit better be good and it better be right, because about 6 or 7 years ago on Main Street, the turnover was unbelievable. Like there was just so much stuff that kept coming in and out of here, and it was like knick-knack stuff, and there'd be a restaurant and it would go under and blah 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 blah. But for the past about 5 years or so, it's been pretty stable, and it's just kind of been building on that foundation, and then it's gone, it's spread out from Main Street to the White Bluff area, and Burns now has a Mexican restaurant that's halfway decent, and I've heard that there's going to be several other restaurant projects in the Burns area, so White Bluff is coming up as well too, and they've got y'all, and so I would love to know kind of, we'll take a couple more minutes, we're in an hour and 8 minutes right now, but so you all live in White Bluff and having a business there as well too. Where do you kind of see, I know you were saying you were going to the council meetings and things like that, what would really kind of help start kind of rounding out White Bluff, as far as kind of the commercial scene goes? Just for the clientele, the people that live there. Obviously, it's a little more rural than Dixon.
Yeah.
It is, but you would be surprised at how many, how you want to call it? I don't want to call them just popular people, but well-known people.
Yeah.
Country music artists.
They've got a little slice of heaven down there.
They do.
Yeah.
And it's cool, because everyone's quiet about it. You don't really notice that they're there, and they don't want to be noticed.
Right.
They want a home just like everyone else.
Right.
But yet they know that they want good food.
Right.
And that was one of the reasons why we went there. We wanted to provide a good opportunity for people to come get good food. As far as other things, commerce, I'm not real sure.
They need I guess, somewhere between White Bluff and Burns, like a good big grocery store would be nice.
That'd be super nice.
Yeah.
Because you've got CB out there right now.
Yeah, we got the CB store, which is great, but they just don't have very many things. Like for me, I go in there.
You've got to pop in and get something. Yeah.
Right, it's not gonna happen. I gotta go to Nashville. A really cool, like something I think Dixon needs in general is like a really good butcher shop. Yeah. Would be amazing.
There's a guy, I don't know if he's going to go through with it or not, but it's the exact same concept as he was running the Greek restaurant over here, and then he bought...
Doesn't he have a food truck?
He might have talked to him in a while, but I know he bought the slaughterhouse in McEwen and was running cattle through there, and he wanted to start a prime cut type butcher shop here in Dixon. Yeah. And he told me that last year, so I don't know how far along he is with that, but...
But yeah, a butcher shop would be really, really cool. Yeah, if we could have a butcher shop.
Because we actually, when we were putting this together, we went around to some farms to try to get our food from local farms.
Oh, wow.
Our menu this coming weekend has, we're having short ribs this coming weekend. So we bought a lot from a local farmer in Ashland City.
Oh, cool.
Black Angus.
we've used his beef personally for a long time, and we've always wanted to use his beef, but it's a private farm. Of course he's like USDA inspected, and he's a legit supplier, but he doesn't have enough supply on his end. He doesn't have enough cows to slaughter each week to meet what we need in terms of the specific parts that we need. So, but with us having like a rotating menu, we were able to bring that back in, and he reached out. Cool. Yeah, and we were like, yes, we would love to use your short ribs. So,
so does he just send his cows to the slaughter, and you just kind of track them along the way and you get the meat, or how does that
No,
process
he
work?
brings it back from the processor,
Okay.
and then we pick up from his farm.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's super easy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and they're grass-fed cows,
Yeah.
so
They're
it's
just like
Yummy.
hanging out
black
on
Angus
on the
meat.
rolling
No
hills.
stress. Just
Yeah.
And they're just
enjoying
living
it.
life.
Yeah.
Until they're not anymore.
You're right.
Yeah. Yes, this is farm to table.
Yeah,
Lovely.
for sure.
That's for sure.
Wow. So rotating menu. How is that? Is it? How much? Do you just have some specials like every week, or you seriously kind of
No.
you have maybe some staples on the menu and change?
Yeah, we have some staples like the
Okay.
bulgogi and the
Mhm.
seafood pancake. Those are like really, really popular. So we're definitely going to keep those. We took a couple of things off the menu and put the short ribs and another type of a pancake on the menu this week.
Okay.
Like we call it the naked dumpling
Okay.
pancake.
What is
So,
that?
it
You
has.
should come find out.
I should make my mouth water
Right?
first, so I can
So,
dream about it.
if you like Asian dumplings or like gyoza
Uh-huh.
or like pan fried pot stickers or whatever, it's pretty much what makes up the innards of a dumpling
Okay.
in a pancake form, and then you pan
Yeah,
fry it.
baby.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So of course we have a different name for it in Korean, but I was like, a naked dumpling sounds cute. I'm gonna go with that.
What do they call it in Korean?
동그랑땡.
Okay. That is a mouthful.
That's right.
That's a
Did you get that?
mouthful. Yeah, yep, it's up here.
So you're gonna order it in Korean next time, right?
Mhm.
I got
What
you.
is it?
동그랑땡.
Dongorante.
And now he's gonna play this. in
I know,
his car.
over and over again.
And I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna nail it.
Yep.
There's a guy that comes to trivia and he, I don't know if he speaks German or not, but his team name is always German and he has to teach me how to say it every week. So last week he did one that he had done a couple weeks prior and I nailed it when I said it. I
Nice.
recognized it, so I think I can handle that. Cool. All right. Well, do y'all have anything else? Anything else going on? Anything else to say? You want to tell the people? What are your
No.
hours? Let's get there. What are your days?
So right now we're doing 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Thursday, Friday,
Okay.
and we're expanding Saturday to be noon to 9.
Okay.
So I know a lot of people do have a problem with our hours. They're like, "You're not open long enough,"
Mm.
but it's like, oh, there's 4 of us, and
You're open long enough to make enough money to keep on going and then
Yeah.
get your name out and
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much, and
Yeah, and it's it's a lot harder than people think.
yeah,
Yeah.
Asian food is
If you don't
a
believe me,
lot
just
of
come try.
prep. A lot of
just come look at him through his window. Look how hard he's
Yeah.
working.
Yeah. Yeah, come try to do what I just did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people, you get on this hip dicks and stuff, and there's so many people that complain, but they've never owned a business in their life, and it's just so disheartening to me to see people get on there and just start complaining about shit they don't know anything about.
Right,
you know?
right.
And,
I mean, I get it from like
I
the
do too.
consumer standpoint.
Sure.
What they see is like the end product, and it's like, but there's so much that goes into it. It's
Mhm.
like, what they would rather buy the food from someone that prepares it at their home and sells it. It's like, well, do you know how much more money we have to pay to even do this?
Sure.
The
Mhm.
taxes, the insurance. Like,
Mhm.
there's so much more that
Payroll,
goes into it.
everything, Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
And I saw that we all applying for a beer permit too.
Yes,
Is that
we will
going
be.
through? Okay.
Yeah. So there were different things that we had to have in place
Okay.
for the beer permit. It wasn't something that we could apply for during our renovation process.
Yeah, you have to be established first.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to be doing that probably sometime next
Just
week.
beer or wine and
Just beer.
Just beer.
Yeah, I didn't want to mess with alcohol because that brings in so many other different
Yeah.
rules, regulations.
Yeah, it goes federal. It goes to the state instead of just the county if you
Yeah.
bring in like
Mhm.
wine and liquor. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's with us being small,
Mm-hmm.
that's not keeping it simple.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of it.
Yeah, your insurance goes up.
Mhm.
There's
Okay.
there's a lot more involved in it.
Yeah.
So, if you can control your stress,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, well, that's what I'm doing.
Cool. Sounds like you're doing a great job so far.
thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We try.
Do you want to plug your socials? How can people get in touch with you?
They can search for us on Facebook and Instagram at Fat Tiger White Bluff.
Cool.
You can find us on Google Maps. Fat Tiger White Bluff is better than trying to search for our address because Google is being stubborn and won't change it.
Yeah. If you just Google Fat Tiger,
Yeah.
it'll bring you to the restaurant.
Okay.
But if you try to put the address into Google Maps, it'll take you about a mile down the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to a little shed,
Yeah.
which I don't think they should serve food there.
I don't think so. If they start doing
It's not food.
you're right. We should put a sign on that shed. Be like, go back this way, another
Going
mile.
too far.
The other 5.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome. I will definitely be visiting the establishment
Yeah,
very
please.
soon. Absolutely, Thursday to Saturday. Cool. Well, you guys are awesome.
You too.
Thanks.
Thank
come
you.
Yeah,
come highly recommended. I'm glad I finally have gotten to meet you all. And again, if you can make it on the 22nd of January, I will be talking to you about food though too, because
Yeah.
I'm gonna have had probably 6 restaurateurs on the podcast, and I'm gonna do just like a potluck of all their stuff.
That'll be
Nice.
fun.
Yeah.
Totally
From
down.
desserts to main course to appetizers to everything else.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Sweet. All right,
Mhm.
cool. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening. Be sure to like, subscribe. Go check out their Facebook and Instagram, Fat Tiger. Show them some love. Go out there, go see them. Get the seafood pancake. and what was the other one?
The
Bulgogi.
bulgogi and everything else.
And
is
everything
good.
else. that they've got in
Kimchi
there,
and pork
too.
stew.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Especially try the short ribs if we have them when you get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Local farm to table.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
You can't get much fresher than
No,
this.
you can't. They pretty much still move it when they come in.
Yeah, kind of.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys again for listening. Truly appreciate it. Be sure to like, subscribe, share the podcast. Let's get it out there, grow it a little bit. And until next time, peace.
Thanks again to the station for sponsoring this episode. If you are looking to book your next wedding or reception, baby shower or birthday party, conference or class, photo or video shoot, or even a live music performance, please reach out to Andy Truman at 336-693-4311 or shoot her an email at events@mulberrymilldixon.com. If you're interested in sponsoring an episode, please reach out to me directly via email at yourvibespodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and always remember, stay vibey, my friends.